I gotta get rid of some of this neck fat. Speaking of getting rid of net fat. Speaking of getting rid of net fat. Speaking of getting rid of fat neck.
All there is to it. A winner.
You should go to teamyblends.com/discount/Soncerae20 and get you some detox tea, girl. I'm supposed to be doing like this 30-day detox tea with the single moms inside of my Facebook group. I'm gonna give one of my single mothers $200 if she could lose 20 to 50 pounds by March 2021. And you know I'm always on the go, so this is real helpful for me. I basically got this, you know, my tumbler, and then I give me some smart water, and then bam, I add me some of this superfood greens blend to it and just stir it up, and it tastes like spinach and water. You ever had cucumber water? Kind of similar, but my daughter likes to mix Crystal Light with hers. She said it tastes like great spinach and water. I got a blender in my kitchen, so I usually like blend it, but not having a smoothie without any fruits or vegetables and stuff, it still tastes good. It's no worries. This right here give me so much energy, I'll be ready to go. Get up. Boop, 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 boop. That's how I feel after I drink this. Excuse me as I kiss the sky. Hey, it's Soncerae here. I appreciate you being here. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Tap that notification bell so you can be a part of the family, okay? Make sure you follow me on Instagram at The Real Soncerae. I posted some gems up there for my ladies, of course. There used to be a time where I used to promote celibacy on my channel all of the time because I myself was celibate for a very long time. And this was after I worked at the swingers club. I decided to be polyamorous, and a lot of times people believe that polyamory and promiscuity are the same thing when they're two completely different things, but that's a whole nother video. So anyway, after I got out of the swingers lifestyle and stopped working at the swingers club, I took a break and decided that I was going to be celibate for a little while to get some type of healing. And I would encourage women to have like the 90-day rule, you know, just get to know a guy, not because, you know, they want to control the situation, not because they want to play some type of game, but because 90 days will tell you a lot about a guy. That's the bare minimum to sit and wait. So earlier today on my Instagram, I posted men who only want sex and men who want a serious relationship. They tend to speak the same language, and they may even have the same behaviors temporarily, but figuring out which one the man you are being pursued by is a process. So no sex on the first date, third date, or the fifth date. Give it a solid 6 to 12 months so you can see what type of man this man is. Now, of course, underneath the comment, underneath my post, inside of the comment section, and came the low energy dudes, the underachieving dudes, the dusties, the underdeveloped, the misguided, who have rudimentary game to begin with. They have no type of skill set, and of course instant gratification is something that they want. So rushing a woman into bed is something normal for them. If you meet a man who thinks that 6 to 12 months is a long time to wait to have sex, these men have no patience or no self-control, okay? They're underqualified. These are not men that you need to entertain. These men are the definition of dusty. This is the first sign right here that you're dealing with the wrong type of man. If he doesn't have the self-control to go without sex for 6 to 12 months, 6 months, a year is not a long time at all, especially when it comes to self-care, all right? Self-care is a universal thing. It's something that men and women do. So when you are taking the time to get to know somebody, whether it's 6 to 12 months, whether it's 2 years, this time frame is important. This is something that you have to do. This is not an option. This is something that is beneficial to both parties involved. When People skip over this part of the process. This is why relationships fail. This is why relationships are unsuccessful, because everybody wants to be the exception to the rule. Everybody wants to feel like their specific relationship is different from everybody else's. You know, those relationships where two people get together and they hooked up pretty fast and now they're still in a successful relationship years later. That's an exception to the rule, y'all. And everybody thinks that their situation is going to be the exception, and then we turn around and we look at each other and we see why there's so much divorce, and we see why there's so much, breakups around, toxic relationships around. It's because people didn't take the time to communicate and get to know each other, and they actually feel like 6 months to a year is wasting their time. No, that is more than enough time for you to figure out, is this somebody that you want to continue to keep growing with? Trying to handle everything with speed is something that somebody who has nothing to offer will do. You don't have anything to offer. You don't have anything to bring to the table. You don't have anything to protect. So of course you're going to move so swiftly with just any random person because you're not afraid of losing it. Okay, now there are people out there who have something to offer and they try to move swiftly because they lack patience, or they want their situation to be the exception because they feel like the exception is the rule, when really it isn't. The rule is, if you move too fast, you're gonna crash and burn. The exception to the rule are the people who move fast and they end up having a successful relationship. That's the exception, and it can't be an exception to a rule if the exception was happening to everybody. Okay, so back to this comment that I posted. Guy comes in my comment section. He says, that's bullshit. Nobody's gonna wait 6 to 12 months. And so I'm like, oh, of course not. If they are dusty, they're not gonna wait that long. Like, no dusty's gonna wait no 6 to 12 months. I've had men wait 2 to 3 years to kick it with me because that's what time it takes to build a friendship. You don't just build a friendship in a week, 2 weeks, 3 months. It just doesn't happen unless it's an exception to the rule. And like I said, not everybody an exception to the rule. So anyway, he's like, that's insane. I'm like, well, I have men who are trying now and they still waiting. Just because you lack self-control doesn't mean that you can assume that all men are like that. All men won't have patience. That's just you, And he's like, well, I have self-control. I'm just not going to have a woman that's not a virgin with high mileage waste my time and play games with me like that. And this is what I mean by the underqualified men. They never do any type of self-reflection. They will have this copious amount of women that they done slept with. They promiscuous themselves, lack self-control as far as their sexuality goes, but they want low mileage versions. Like, seriously? I don't understand that. You can go around and have high mileage and sleep with all of these women, and that's just perfectly fine. But if a woman is like that, you can't sleep with her? She's not good enough for you? How would you like it if a woman looked at you like that? You're walking around here with all this high mileage. A woman has considered not even dealing with you. So I say to him, listen, most men have high mileage. If she makes you wait, clearly her mileage isn't high because she isn't letting just any random man bang the first chance he gets. Women who rush into sex with you usually rush into sex with most men, and the longer you wait, the better. So just because she takes time to get to know you doesn't mean it's a game. You think it's a game because you coming in on some game type shit. You want sex. Men who aren't playing games and who aren't pressed to have sex aren't rushing women into doing anything. They have too much to lose. And getting to know a woman isn't a waste of time. And the fact that you think that proves that you're a dusty who only wants sex. Let me tell you something. Men who have an issue with a woman holding off, getting to know you before she has sex with you, these type of men don't recognize women who have self-respect. They feel like women shouldn't have self-respect. They should just go ahead and just sleep with a man simply because she likes him. And I tell women all the time, what is a man doing other than looking good and you just liking him because, you like his swagger or whatever? What is it that he's doing that makes him worth you giving your time and energy to? Like, what is he doing? What has he proved to you? Has he showed you anything? Let me tell you something about high quality men, all right? High quality men care about their lineage. They care about their finances, their time, their bodies, their sperm. They're going to get to know women. Getting to know a woman isn't a waste of time, and a man with self-respect understands that. Have respect for yourself. Have self-respect, ladies, and watch a dusty decay right in front of you. The deterioration starts right there. What is a man doing for you other than looking good? What is he doing for you? I'm sorry, but I'm worth more than a change for a 20, okay? I tell women all the time, don't fall for these dudes' potential, especially if they over 30. See, potential is something you fall for when they're younger and they got time to build something. But when these men get over 30, they should have already built a foundation for themselves. Men have got to have the bare minimum when you're dating them. The house, the car. You know, you too. Even if it's just an apartment, he ain't even got to have a house. He can have an apartment. As long as he has his own place and his own job, his own car, these are things that you should require as bare minimum. And these are the things that you should have for yourself if you're out here dating. Don't nobody want to build a bare man. I am not going to play Mr. Miyagi to some grown man. I'll pass. Don't nobody got time to be training no man. And I made that mistake before with somebody who was 38. There is no reason in the world why a man who is 38 should be walking around with a low-paying job, no car, no place to live. A lot of men gonna come to you and they have this rudimentary basic game, and as a woman, you gotta stop falling for that. So another guy comes into the comment section and he basically says, you know, life is meant to be lived and mistakes are meant to be made and things are meant to be discovered. And he starts talking about how this type of thing is too complex to analyze. And I'm thinking to myself, no, it's actually quite simple. You have to observe and learn. Men and women are taught very differently as far as relationships go. Like, first of all, you have to live your life responsibly. Winging it or going with the flow will have you hurt and in pain. And going with the flow didn't do anything but make me a target for predators most of my life. And men are out here destroying women. As women, we are out here unprotected, and instead of good men taming the bad men, women get chastised for making choices, these poor choices in these men. And instead, we're taught to protect ourselves from these predators and correct our own behavior. Meanwhile, they're telling both parties, both men and women, live free, go with the flow. But when you tell a predator something like that, and you tell them to live free and go with the flow, they start doing detrimental, toxic shit to women, and they are celebrated. They get pats on the back for being players and sleeping around with a whole bunch of women. Men get patted on the back for having high mileage. Every beta male is praising men and want to be like these men when they go around here and they sleep with a whole bunch of women. These men are impressed by the debris and broken hearts of women who were unfortunate enough to cross the paths of these toxic men. It's not as complex, and analyzing it is important. You have to observe and learn. Women have to understand your yoni is a reward, okay? It's for the high quality men. Consequently, you need to take the time to verify these men. Evaluate, okay? You got to have calculated steps during this process. You can't just go up in there all willy-nilly. That's not good, because you're going to meet men who have no skill set. You're going to meet the low energy dudes. You're going to meet the dusties. You're going to meet the underachievers, the underdeveloped, the misguided, the underqualified. And you need to be able to decipher the difference between them and a good man, because like I said, both of them speak the same language initially. And building a friendship with these dudes takes time. For you to understand who they are, that takes time. And so back to that other Dusty who was like, no man's gonna wait no 6 to 12 months. He was like, no self-respecting man will deal with having to wait for 6 to 12 months. And I'm like, you are insane. If you think 6 months to a year is a long time to date a woman without having sex, what self-respecting man would want to give himself to a strange woman he doesn't know? High value men don't bother with random women. They get to know women first. They have too much to offer to waste it on the wrong woman. They are in no rush to do anything. They have their lineage to think about. They have to protect their finances and their sperm. They have to take it slow to protect themselves. And instead of using sex as a way to express themselves, they prefer superior methods during the selection process. So another man came into the comment section and he asked me, do you think the man will be celibate during the trial phase with you? Now he's calling the trial phase the 6 to 12 months. I wouldn't call that the trial phase, but that's what he wants to call it. I personally think that's the time that you need to figure out who this man is. Now, everything has a trial period. Hell, if you go to a job, you got a probationary period. Men should have a probationary period with women too. This is not something that women should just be doing to men. Men should be doing this to women too. Okay, you need to be getting to know these women. Get to know each other. Look deep before you leap. Do you think the man will be celibate during the trial phase with you? He will be sex free with you all the while still having sex elsewhere. Biologically, we're different. And I said, well, if he's into me truly, probably so. He'll wait for me. You know, he'll wait for me. He'll go 6 to 12 months if he's truly into me. If not, then that's his choice for him. And I wouldn't want a man who can't control himself sexually. If he can't go without sex for 6 to 12 months, he most likely couldn't deal with monogamous committed relationship anyway. If he was honest about casually sleeping with other women, I'd still consider dating him because of his honesty. If he's having sex with other women, there may be another woman he is more interested in than he is in me, and I'll factor that in. To me, a man who can't control himself, a man who doesn't have discipline, is not a man that I want to kick it with. So he was like, well, he put in quotations, he said, if he can't go without sex for 6 to 12 months, he most likely couldn't deal with a monogamous committed relationship. Anyway, he said, I don't understand how those two things go together. And I'm like, okay, listen, I'm going to try to put it in layman's terms. Because I don't have to explain this to a man who is of high quality. High quality men, a high value man will understand this. The fact that I have to explain this to you means you have a dubious character. But let me explain it to you. Let's see if I can get you to figure this out. Any type of man who is sitting up here confused about the statement that I made as far as monogamy goes, you have to understand, if you don't have enough self-control and discipline when you're single, you're not going to be able to have the self-control and discipline required to be in a committed monogamous relationship with a woman. So if me and you are sitting here and we're dating, I might not even tell you. I might just be waiting and chilling and holding off until I get to know you. If you can't control yourself and you got to sleep around with a whole bunch of women while you're getting to know me, I'm going to feel like you are more interested in those women than you are into me. When a man is genuinely interested in a woman, he is genuinely interested in her, not other women. You understand? He's genuinely interested in her. It's the same thing with women. Okay? Women will sit by the phone and wait for a dude that they're interested in. And no other man on the planet will match her. All right? If you got a decent woman, that's how she rocks. So you can't sit here and tell me that a man is genuinely interested in me, but he can't seem to have the self-discipline to sit still and hold off on having sex with a woman, with other women, for 6 to 12 months. It's just 6 to 12 months. It's not like it's 5 years. If a man comes to me and he's honest about what he wants and he's saying, you know, he wants to sleep with other women, I'll take that in consideration, because he doesn't have to tell me the truth. It's men lying about that. So the fact that he's honest with me saying, yo, I've slept with this woman, or I've wanted to sleep with this woman, I can respect that, and I'm going to factor that in. You know, then I get to decide whether I kick it with him or not. He goes into this whole thing. He says, the biological reality, you know, men are basically biologically different. Just as a woman has a time frame to get married, and that's her prerogative, a man can have a time frame to begin copulation within a relationship. And I totally agree. He said, you are literally removing a year of a man's sexual life. It's just sex. A man's sexual life? Like, you mean to tell me your sexual life takes precedent over everything else that you're doing in your life? Like, you mean to tell me the only thing that matters to you out of all of the things in your life is your sexual life? Like, that's not the type of man I want. Let me tell you something. A high value man or a high quality man has so many other things that's happening in his life. Like, what other projects is he working on? What is he doing outside of sleeping around, watching Netflix, and going to work every day? What a man does when he's participating in extracurricular activities says a lot about who that man is. High value men don't necessarily put their sex life to the top of their priority list. So when this man says to me, you are literally removing a year of a man's sexual life. Listen, most men who don't have their sex life as priority are not hurting simply because they went a year without having sex. You understand? They're so busy doing so many other things. And so he says, this is a faith test. 6 to 12 months of you holding off is a faith test. Well, I'm thinking to myself, listen, okay, call it a faith test. If that's what you want to call it probationary period. Call it a arbitrary test, a completely unnecessary test. If that's what you need to call it to help yourself sleep better at night, you knock yourself out. Okay? If that's what you need to do. A high quality man is also in the process of testing a female as well. He has to have a faith test as well. No man wants to be investing his time and energy into the wrong woman. Men are testing women all of the time. The dusties, the high valued men, they're all testing women all day, all night. But to hear that a woman is testing a man back is one thing that these men are unable to handle. Now, he claims that I would be offended if this man decided to not invest money into her for 2 years. And I'm like, listen, only a dusty or a low budget woman will complain about proving themselves. If you want the position, do what you can to get it or move out the way for a man that will. So if a man wants to take 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever his test is for him, whatever he feels is best suitable for him is for him, and it will eliminate the women that are not fit for him. So I don't understand what the big deal is. As a woman, women should never be scared a man to move on to another woman and have his happily ever after. Men bank on that fear. Men bank on women being afraid to let a man go. Look, don't think because she got him to marry her, she better than you. Listen, somebody got to date the dusties. Somebody got to date the dusties. Not every man is a high valued man. Not every man is a high quality man. And it's the same thing with women. Not every woman is a high quality woman. Some women are dustettes. Let that man be another bitch problem if you not feeling him. If the way that he move, if the way that he rock don't fit you, then let him go. And don't be upset about it. If he failed your faith test or you failed his, okay, moving along. But having sex too soon will not have a man stuck on you. Giving a man more of what he doesn't appreciate doesn't make sense. Don't fall for that domesticated, outdated bullshit, because that shit won't make a man stay with you either. Like the whole, oh, you gotta cook, oh, you gotta clean, oh, you gotta be wife material type of crap. Come on, man. These stringent guidelines, like, listen, cooking and cleaning is a bare minimum for survival. Every person, not just women, should know how to do that. If you don't know how to do that as a man, then you don't deserve to be in a partnership either. I'm so sick of these weird domesticated gender roles that these men, have. Oh, she can't cook, she can't clean. This is something a dusty cares about because they looking for a mama. These are the same men who can't even afford home ownership, but then turn around and want a woman to cook and clean. Okay, provide a home for a woman, and then maybe you'll find a woman who will cook and clean for you. But you can't be sitting here a low energy dusty, an underachiever with a lack of skill set over here expecting a woman to submit to you. That's just bullcrap. I posted this other comment to my Instagram. It was interesting. It was from this guy, Viva Wood Life. It was a thread, high maintenance women and the men who hate them. And I agree with this. This guy says, you don't hate high maintenance women. You hate the fact that you lack the resources and the tools to perform the maintenance. You hate the fact that you lack the discernment and discipline to choose women who fit your budget. You don't hate high maintenance women. You hate the perceived inconvenience and cost. You hate having to move beyond copy and paste messages, treating all women as if they live up to the negative stereotypes that women-hating men have perpetuated. Stop confusing a high maintenance woman with the undeserving, underperforming, and unqualified woman, and you won't have that issue anymore. Stop trying to do the bare minimum, and you'll position yourself to attract and collect the maximum. Being less doesn't equal you getting more. Let me make it simple. And this goes back to what I said about the guy saying, oh, it's too complex to analyze. Well, here's the simplification for you. A Rolls Royce and a hoopty are both high maintenance machines. Most likely you choose wrong and were bamboozled into paying Rolls-Royce prices for a hoopty, and now you're jaded. Or you wanted to get something for nothing and ended up with nothing for something. The greater the value, the greater the cost or burden. There's often a lofty price to pay for the luxury, access, and performance that you desire. The price may be in the form of time, respect, adoration, attention, concern, knowledge, and or money. In closing, a great and high quality woman is always affordable to a great man, but never cheap. I'm telling you, it's some men out there that have themselves together. Fellas, you have to stop taking advice from misogynistic sexists who hate women. And we're talking about these betas who are incessant on disrespecting women. You know, the men who are displaying exuberance when women are mistreated. You know, the guys that have the proclivity to scream disadvantage in unison. These men with the mommy issues. Once you stop listening to them, you'll be more successful with women. Don't sit there and be famished and parched and deprived of the yachty. You feel what I'm saying? These are the men who think waiting for sex is some type of punishment or game created by a woman as a form of control, when really it's the time needed to get to know a person. These men are equivalent to the bitter all men ain't shit types. Fast, successful relationships are exceptions to the rule. Women out here trying to be an exception to the rule, they get hurt more because they are moving fast with every man they are attracted to. And these men out here who are, you know, dusties, the misogynistics, the sexists, the women haters, you know, they got degradation on tap, just slow sipping. They tend to move swiftly as well. That's why you see the low energy men walking around here with this collection of baby mamas, or this path of destruction and debris behind them of all of these failed relationships. And here's another problem. Good men do not check bad men. They tell women to go with the flow, and then we end up getting played. Or they tell women to choose better after chastising us for getting played by a guy they didn't even bother checking, by the guy that they praise, the guy that they praise for playing women. No woman want to be purgatory adjacent, running around with these demons who are predatorial and want imminent annihilation of women they can't control. Ladies, don't pass out your Miss Muffin too soon. We are considered poor quality when we pass out our Miss Muffin, right? If you wait to pass out your Miss Muffin, then you're classified as a bitch or a chick that's playing games. Let me save you much trepidation, okay? Be careful with your love box. Don't be anxious to pass out your banana baskets. Should you expect a man to be celibate during the time of you sitting there, you know, waiting to get to know them? That's up to you. And don't fall for that whole biological differences. Men use our biological differences as an excuse to be promiscuous while completely disregarding our biological misfortune, like our menstrual periods. They make fun of us. They have these sick PMS jokes, or don't even bother attempting to understand the severity of PMDD. I mean, fellas, come on. You go a year without having sex. It's like, oh my God, I have blue balls. That's the worst thing you got to deal with. Like, sometimes you have a wood that requires you to have to jizz in a sock. You know, that's it. That's all you got to worry about. Meanwhile, as a woman, I got to worry about stuff like premenstrual dysphoric disorder. That's a woman's brain having an abnormal response to a hormone change during her cycle. Let me tell you what women have to deal with on their cycle while you sitting here so concerned about, you know, your morning wood. During our cycle, acne, cramps, muscle spasms, numbness, painful breast, insomnia, fatigue, muscle aches, diarrhea, or constipation, joint pain, lower back pain, severe headaches, emotional distress. Our hormones are going crazy. Sometimes we're sad, sometimes we're angry, sometimes we have anxiety or hopelessness, we have irritability, we're overwhelmed or crying, our vision changes, we're dizzy, we're having panic attacks, we're fainting. We're easy bruising, we're bloating, we're nauseous, we're having hot flashes, our appetite's changing. Maybe we out here craving something. We lack concentration. We're having social dysfunction. We can barely go to work. We can barely go to school. We can barely take care of our kids and do the normal stuff that we would do when we're on our cycle because of these symptoms. We have weight gain, water retention, and we have self-consciousness and self-imaging. We're having heart palpitations and coordination difficulties and forgetfulness and paranoia. And you over here upset because you going a year without sex when this is something that we deal with once a month for like 5 to 7 days? Come on, man. Come on, man. You want us to respect our biological differences, but you guys don't even understand how much pain we go through just with our menstrual cycles. Just with our menstrual cycles, and that's it. So don't ask a woman to take in consideration that you're biologically different from us and your bodies are built to release because you're consistently building up sperm. So your mind and your body works as if you need to continuously release. And at least when you're releasing, it feels good. With us, when we are releasing, our cycles, it is the most painful thing ever. So I don't want to hear nothing about our biological differences unless you're going to sit here and have a respect for when I'm going through PMS or PMDD or my menstrual cycle. All right? That's fair. And I need for men to stop taking advice from the Dusties. Let me tell you something. Dusties always take a woman having self-respect hard. They take rejection hard. The men that I've rejected or refused to continue to entertain, man, they took it as a blow to their manhood, as if it isn't millions of other women they could try. It's millions of other women that you could fit with. Just because one woman has, rejected you because you failed her faith test or you didn't pass her probationary period, it's still good for you. It's still a learning process. You learn something about yourself when you've been dating someone. Every single relationship that you get in, you learn something new about yourself. And if you still sitting here making the same mistakes over and over and over again with women, you still have not learned the lesson. But this is just my opinion on the matter. I'm just saying to women, get to know these men first. You can stop yourself from going through so much pain if you just get to know these men first. And it's not going to be a short process. None of the stuff is fast. Nothing worth having is going to happen quickly. It's going to take time. It's not something that you can just breeze through. There are no shortcuts to this shit. So you got to do every step. You got to take every step, and you really got to go through the process of getting to know these guys. If you want a healthy situation, you got to build a foundation first. So ladies, be selective. Get to know these men. Get to know where they stand financially. Get to know where they are spiritually, emotionally. Do they have faith in a higher power? Do they exercise? Do they eat right? How do they treat women? How have they treated women in the past? Do they want children? Do they have children already? Does he have a moralistic compass? Does he have a drinking or a drug problem? Does he use heavy profanity? Does he have a criminal record? Does he have any type of education? What was his relationship like with his father or his mother? Is he even capable of loving you? These are all things that you need to think about. And the only way you're going to figure out the truth about these things is if you take the time to do so. You can't go off of what men are telling you. The first date, third date, fifth date. Men will tell you anything because they trying to get you in bed. They'll tell you they Drake's first cousin to get you in bed. They tell you whatever it is that you need to hear. So you have to pay attention to their actions. And I don't mean their actions for a little bit of time. I mean their actions for an extended amount of time. After the first 3 to 6 months of a situation, people start showing you who they truly are. You can only listen. The honeymoon bliss only lasts for a little while. Once you get over that and you start being around this man all of the time, you'll get to see whether he's doing whatever he can to stick to the situation. If he's so anxious to leave, if he keep trying to leave over and over again, or you considering leaving, or he's talking about sleeping with other women or whatever, he's not the type of man for you. Because who a Dusty is pretending to be every day for the first 3 to 6 months, It's not something he can keep up, and you'll start seeing those red flags. Trust me. You have to stop trying to collect so many though, because women be trying to collect red flags. Like, how many red flags do you need before you decide to leave this man alone? How many do you need? 3? I say do 3. If you really need it, do 3. But listen, for me, it's the first one. I got rid of a man earlier this year because this fool showed my pictures to his homeboy when we hadn't even been on our first date yet. And I told him how important it was for me to have privacy and how I was uncomfortable with men who gossip. And my thing was, please do not go out and tell our private business, and then when I have to respond to you telling our private business, you go out there and make it seem like I'm telling our business because I have to respond to you. That's what men have been doing. They've been walking around, my exes walking around telling our business, and then when I respond to them, they tell everybody, oh, I started it. I'm the one that brought our personal business to the forefront. No. These men walking around whispering to their homeboys and other women and all types of stuff about what's happening inside of these relationships or these relationships that they used to be in. And then all of these rumors start. And so I was telling the man, like, listen, if you want me to be involved with you, you really got to learn how to keep your mouth closed. Like, you really got to learn how to respect my privacy. And if you can do that, me and you can rock with each other. But before we can even go on a date, he had already showed his homeboy my picture, and they had already started gossiping about me. And he revealed to me that all this time he was lying to me, claiming he didn't know who I was, when really he did. He literally sat there and lied to me, pretending like he didn't know who I was. Meanwhile, the whole time he knew who I was because he showed his friend a picture of me. And him and his friend talked about me because his friend recognized who I was. That made me get rid of dude right there. Red flag number 1. Red flag number 1. Some other people would have been like, oh, that was petty. You could have just stayed with him. No, that was red flag number 1. It was time for me to exit stage left and be done with him altogether. No need for me to look for a second and third red flag. He let me know who he was right there. He let me know he was going to be the type of dude that was going to spread our business, sit around and gossip, talk to other men about who he's sleeping with, the type of man that probably lie on his penis. You know, the underdeveloped men, the underachieving men, the underqualified men. Yeah, men like that. Don't nobody got time for that. So just remember that, ladies. I am here for you. I'm giving you advice. I'm going to tell you stories about stuff that happened in my life now. You can listen to the stories. You can apply some of the advice I have to your life, but it's up to you. You can take it or leave it. I'm just going to tell you my experiences. I've been through a lot, and I've been here for a long time. I want to give you the best guidance possible to navigate this life. Life can be very complicated sometimes, especially when you are inside of relationships and you are dealing with love. So I posted on Twitter. Not a lot of people follow me on Twitter. I got a little tiny Twitter page. It's almost like a Finsta. You know what a Finsta is? It's like the ugly page, you know, the ugly Instagram page. That's what my Twitter page is like. And my social media managers post my tweets to my Instagram. So on my Instagram is this post that I put up on Twitter. And it said, I used to love so hard without expecting love in return. Then when I turned 30, I changed. I was feeling drained. I decided to give love one more try. And if my love didn't get reciprocated, I knew love wasn't real. I'm 40 now. ... When I feel love for a man, I don't water the seed. Now, a lot of people don't know what that means. A lot of people may have thought it was poetic. But one guy came into my comment section and said, I thought you was poly. I was like, is he confused or am I confused? Like, here's my thing. Okay, I don't have the patience and the crayons to keep trying to explain polyamory to people. And for some reason, a lot of people confuse poly relationships with promiscuity. It's not the same thing. Usually when people are in poly relationships, it includes a lot of love, a lot of care, and a lot of friendship and respect and maturity from one another. It's not promiscuity, okay? When you're dealing with monogamous relationships, A lot of times there's a lot of love inside of those relationships, but people are hiding their promiscuity. They like to cheat, they like to lie. In poly relationships, everyone has a level of love and respect for one another where they're open and honest. It just means that the communication is extremely honest and everybody is responsible for their own feelings and their own thoughts, and they're also responsible for everybody else's feelings and try to do whatever they can to not hurt somebody else. It's a very honest type of relationship. So whether a person is polygamous, where they are married to more than one person, or they're polyamorous, where they're in more than one relationship, it doesn't mean that there's a lack of love. And usually when men participate in promiscuity, the word that they get stuck on when they're talking about poly is the word poly, which means multiple. When people are promiscuous, they sleep around with a lot of different people, right? When you're dealing with polyamory, it's not the same thing. It's not that you're going around and you're having all of these casual flings with people. Usually it's more than one relationship. You're having more than one relationship. And it doesn't mean like if you're a woman and you are dating two guys and these two guys know about each other, it doesn't mean that these two guys are also inside of a relationship with each other. A lot of people believe that if two guys get inside of that situation, they must be homosexual or they're having sex with one another. That doesn't necessarily mean that if it's a poly situation. Polyamory is not for everybody. Polygamy is not for everybody. But if monogamy was one of the most perfect things and one of the best types of relationships to get in, then why are people having such horrible relationships? We're having a lot of breakups. We're having a lot of marriages where people are getting divorced. And a lot of times the reason why people are getting divorced or they're breaking up is because of cheating and lying. One thing that doesn't happen, that isn't supposed to happen inside of a polyamorous relationship, is people not knowing what's going on. You know, poly is just an open situation where everybody involved knows who's involved and they have respect for one another and each other. And a lot of people think that that's strange, but why is that strange? But claiming you're committed to someone inside of a monogamous relationship and lying or deceiving them isn't strange. Why is it more acceptable for people to get into these monogamous relationships and cheat on one another, but it's not as acceptable to be inside of a poly relationship? Just because you are in a poly relationship doesn't mean you do not love. Okay, that's another thing. Now, I haven't been in a polyamorous relationship in a really long time. The last time I was in a relationship was in 2017 when I was with my son's father. He and I broke up. I almost got married earlier this year. I was dating someone for a little while, but this was a guy that I had been dating on and off since I was in middle school. So I was just giving him one more try before I gave up altogether. And unfortunately, he let drugs and alcohol be the cause for the demise of our situation. So I'm single. He and I was in a monogamous situation, but he also understood that if he was interested in another female, that could be something that he could say to me. Now, we did have a problem inside of our situation where he went off and did something with a stripper, and he did it behind my back. And that was a problem for me because I'm a polyamorous woman. All you got to do is say something. If I got to find out something about you when you're not around, or someone tells me something that you have done with another woman and it's not something that you have told me yourself, that's when it becomes humiliating. It's not humiliating when you're saying to me, listen, genuinely, I'm a human being, I'm attracted to this other woman, for X amount of reasons. I respect the fact that you can tell me that. Now, not stealing my choice is the thing. When people get in a relationship with each other, a lot of times they steal each other's choice. You make people believe that you love them, and then you go sleep with someone else, or you love someone else and you're lying about, the person that you're in a relationship. You're lying to them, making them feel like you love them. And I've seen that happen so much to so many different people. And so for me, I just didn't want to be included in something that was so detrimental and something that could destroy someone. So what I meant by this post was simple. I used to love because I used to love loving. I used to love loving because feeling love is such a positive thing. It feels so good to me. And I wasn't expecting love in return. It was enough for me to feel love for someone else. And that was, that was satisfying enough. And then when I turned about 30, I realized that I wanted love in return. And I wanted that same type of love to where someone was loving me just as hard as I was loving them. And that didn't happen for me. And so now that I'm 40 years old, I don't feel love the same. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's different. If I feel myself falling in love with a man, I already classify it as something that's not real. So I just shut it off. And it could be psychological. It could be a defense mechanism. But now if I start to feel like I'm longing for a man, or I'm genuinely like interested in him and I might be falling in love with them, I don't water that seed. I think it's because I'm waiting to see something from a man that is impressive to me as far as love goes. I haven't seen that with guys. Like, guys will tell me they love me, guys will take me out, guys will buy me things, guys will be there for me, through it all. But do I see what I need to see as far as the details of, what I believe a relationship is when two people are like soul tied together? Or do I see that I could share something sacred with this guy, or we genuinely have a friendship, or, something, the elements of a relationship that has some type of longevity? Do I see that? No. So if I start feeling, like I'm falling in love with a guy, but I don't feel like he's doing enough, I don't water the seed. I just stop it right there. And until I feel a man falling in love with me, I'm not going to water that seed. That's all the post meant. I don't know why the dude brought up poly stuff. I don't know what that was about. But I did want to explain, poly relationships with people, and explain how I am with love right now, because a lot of people saw me like fall in love with my son's father and they saw us break up. So that's where I'm standing with love right now. And sometimes I feel like the way that I used to love was a little immature and fake, and people don't genuinely fall in love that way. Love is not a fairy tale at all. And I think the things that I thought that were a part of being in love weren't it. And when I would see guys do certain things for me, I would equate that to him being in love with me, but that wasn't the case. And so now that I know that, it's just I'm looking for something else that I'm not seeing. So it's easy for me to reject guys. And I've always been bad with, rejecting a whole bunch of men all the time. I reject men like crazy. I don't know. I say no a lot. I think it's because so many men try to get at me. So many men try to holler at me. So I say no a lot. And it takes a lot to impress me, especially now. If it took a lot when I was younger to impress me, it definitely take a lot now.
Excuse me as I kiss the sky.
So you online looking for someone who understands your unique life experiences? Well, thank God you've made it here. Subscribe, because I got you. I found ways to navigate through this life, and with my advice, you can get a grip on it all, okay? I'll give you tips about your health, relationships, business, finances, and parenting. Make sure you like, share, and comment, but keep it clean when you're trying to express your opinion. Now, buy my merch or get free merch by signing up for membership, okay? So it's been a long time. I'm trying to make sure that I post weekly. It's kind of difficult sometimes because I am a mom. If you are a mom, then girl, you already know what I'm dealing with over here. But it's a lot of ladies out there that don't have any kids. Girl, let me tell you, prepare yourself, all right? If you want some kids, maybe you want to get married first, still prepare yourself to be a single mom, because you could end up in a relationship. Divorce happens, breakups happen. Hell, it's wives I know out there who feel like they're single moms while they're in their marriage. So just understand that when you do decide to have kids, them kids are yours. You heard me? And thank God if you find a man who knows what he wants, who is also capable of being a good father, because a father is actually something that he wants to do with his life. Ladies, please choose better. Please choose better. When you look at my channel and you hear all of the experiences that I have been through, just understand that is me trying to make sure that you do not make the same mistakes I did in my 20s and my 30s. Hope my stories help you out, okay? If you are a single mom and you're looking for some type of support, you can go into Facebook. I have a Black single mom support group there. Make sure you check it out. If you want to live a healthier, happier lifestyle, well, let me introduce you to Teamy Blend Wellness Products, inspired by the health benefits of tea. All of the ingredients are 100% natural, pesticides, and cruelty-free. Using these products have worked wonders for me. I feel energized. My skin feels great. You can go to teamyblends.com/discount/Soncerae20 to get 20% off on purchases over $40. Make sure you enter Soncerae20 at checkout, okay? I don't really post on Facebook like that unless I'm in one of my groups. But I posted recently and I was talking about how in the world I couldn't understand something I couldn't understand, which is how are males who don't take care of their kids still fuckable to women? To me, there isn't a Miss Lady on this planet he deserves not even the filthiest STI infested one. That scum's name needs to be scraped off the ladies' room wall permanently because he doesn't respect our womb. Now, you would be surprised at the answers that women put underneath this. So of course, if you've been following me all over social media, you know my social media managers will post like my tweets all over the place. I don't really have a lot of Twitter followers, but when I posted that, it's posted all over the place. So I get a lot of feedback, and the stuff that women were saying, some of the stuff that these women were saying, I was like, ooh. I saw this one post. It said, one day you'll meet a man that will thank the universe that the men before him made the mistake of letting you go. The problem is you want that man to come right now. You assume you're mentally ready. You swear that you know what you want, but the reality is that you have been in such a rush to get to the finish line of love that you missed the lessons that could have saved you time and energy. Everyone picks wrong because they pick right. It's in those missteps that we gain the wisdom that will lead to better results. When you ignore the lessons and rush into relationship after relationship because you hate the feeling of being alone, you will find yourself repeating the same mistakes with the same type of man. Oh my God, can I get a high five? Oh, can I get some snaps? I was like, that is a gem right there. Okay, here's my big issue, and I know that you guys gonna be like, you got an issue with everything, but listen to this. What I don't understand is how, after I'm saying that I can't understand how men who don't take care of their kids are still fuckable to women, and then it's women in the comment section defending these women for making these choices by saying stuff like, well, men lie. They lie to us. I had a whole bunch of women just start giving me these stories about how their baby daddies turned around and lied to all of these women and made them out to be, you know, the devil incarnate. Now, we know men do that all the time, but that's not what I meant when I posted this. Obviously, I meant the women that actually know these men don't take care of their children. Okay, so I felt like these women were giving other women excuses. Like this one girl said, I doubt his opening line is, hey, I'm Frank and I'm a deadbeat father. These men usually in their heads believe they are justified in not stepping up. They're doing all they can and it's not their fault, so they don't tell other women anything. So I said to her, while she was being a little slick little pick-me, you know, I don't like little pick-me's. I don't like the little pick-me's. It's not their fault. They feel like they're doing whatever. Okay, whatever. Listen, y'all gotta stop giving these men excuses. Come on, yeah, it really is their fault. It really is their fault. Now, I am the person that preaches that sometimes you're asking for like 10 tons from pint people. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes all they have to offer is like the $60 a week child support check that is garnished from my son's father's pay. That's all he can give. You know what I'm saying? That might just be all he has to offer. You know, some people are like that. So of course I feel you, but in this specific situation, it just feels like she was trying so hard. I was like, women are having sex with the obvious deadbeats, the ones with the 3 and 4 baby mamas, proving he's spreading his semen across the 4 winds. Okay, trust me, he isn't taking care of all of those kids equally, and women are comfortable with being baby mama number 5, and we've seen it plenty of times. Now, I know men lie, just like all you ladies know that women still have sex with these deadbeat fathers, hoping he'll treat their baby better than he treats the other children. You guys know this. You know this. Another girl came in with this point. She said, it wouldn't be so many deadbeats if women didn't have sex. Wait until marriage, explore the person in all the other ways, not sexual, and see how we rise. And I told her this, like I tell every single woman, marriage does not save you. I know plenty of women who are married and still feel like single mothers, okay? There are also women who are divorced and their ex-husbands have moved on to other families and don't bother with their kids, okay? Now, the same woman, she also said something to me. She said, it's so complex. If we explored more partnerships, if we got to know the men truly, the success rate of marriage would be different. We don't spend enough time getting to know people, in my experience, nor do we know to communicate truthfully. And she was just speaking from her experiences. Now, my thing is, I'm the type of person where I usually am a guy's friend first. It usually takes me a second before I decide, well, I want to invest my energy into someone. And to me, a solid relationship is about making a conscious choice. When both of you are choosing to make sure that this relationship is successful, then the relationship will be. Sometimes you can't tell whether a person is going to up and change their mind about wanting to commit to the success of a relationship or a marriage. A lot of times that's not something you can control. Whether you sit there and date a person 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. I've had women wait to be proposed to, and then after they get proposed to, they turn around and they get married, and the marriage is still as bad as it was, you know, when they were sitting there begging to be married. Or these men get these women pregnant and they turn around and abandon their children. It's just, it is what it is. Marriage is just not going to save you from someone who's just like a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it is what it is. But if women would get in unison, okay, if we would get information, if we would require more from men than what we do, we would have more success with men. Men get away with entirely too much. And if you are a man and you're listening to this, this is not an attack at you, okay? I know how sensitive y'all are. I know how y'all feel when y'all egos getting a little tad bit bruised or whatever. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings or whatever. Listen, on YouTube alone, there's plenty of men out here that's trashing women and single mothers. So, matter of fact, I seen a video the other day by this guy who was basically telling his audience that they should not feel sympathy for single mothers. I unsubscribed from his channel so fast. I was like, oh my God, when did this dude turn into a Dusty? Like, cause that's like Dusty mentality. Like, you gotta be leery of any person that feels comfortable with telling another person who they shouldn't have sympathy for. Like, come on, sympathy is sympathy. Sympathy is one of those things. It's just like gratitude. You know what I'm saying? It's just like something that happens in life. Sometimes, you know, having compassion and sympathy for other people is a positive thing. It doesn't mean that you have to attach some type of egregious action to it that might, you know, disgust you or might make you lose your dignity. But having sympathy for somebody that may be in an unfortunate situation or that may be causing them pain You know, that's fair. That's like a human trait. If you are online or even just having a general conversation with someone and you're encouraging them to not have sympathy for someone who may be hurting, I can't. That's just, I don't know. So anyway, I unsubscribed from this channel, unfortunately. Like, I was kind of, trying to see if I could dig some of these guys that, get on social media and they're giving advice to other men. Like, it's easy for me as a woman to get on social media and see other people giving advice, like other men giving advice to women. But usually when I see men giving other men advice, it's usually the worst advice ever. It's like men are teaching men to be worse instead of better, or teaching them to be selfish, or teaching them to be like misogynistic or cruel to women. And that's so unfortunate to me, because how is that creating better unions and better families when they're dealing with women in general? We're not talking about race here. We're just talking about how men are dealing with women in general of all colors. Like, if you're teaching them to have this callous, cruel way of thinking as far as women goes, there is not going to be any type of unification, and these relationships are going to continuously be difficult to be in. Don't nobody got time for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't nobody got time for that. But anyway, so as women, listen, somebody got to date the dusties. So when I do hear women out here being pick-me's, like, oh, it's not their fault that they're not taking care of their kids, maybe they just don't know any better. Come on, we're talking about a grown-ass man here. We're not talking about a puppy or a toddler. We're talking about a grown man here, especially if he's over 30. Y'all gotta stop giving these men over 30 the benefit of the doubt, man, because listen, when they was a teenager and in their early 20s, they might have been trying to, experience stuff. Maybe they was out here learning lessons. Maybe they was just trying to see what was going on. But after a certain age, if you haven't started accumulating those lessons and applying that stuff to your life, something is really deeply wrong with you, and you should be in the process of dating to begin with. You understand what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. If you are feeling comfortable as a woman with dating a man, even though he has these broken relationships with more than one woman that he has children with, and you think you about to get with him and the situation about to be any different, you got another thing coming. You have to watch the pattern. You have to watch the pattern these men have with women. It's the same thing with women. Men, you gotta watch the pattern with women. Like, if women are consistently having a communication problem over and over and over again with more than one guy, you gotta start thinking like, okay, who is the common denominator in this? Who is the common denominator? So, ladies, like I said in the post, these are the men that we really need to start like putting on this not to do list. There is nothing attractive about a man who is not taking care of his children. No man who has walked the earth, had some type of intimacy with a woman, and enjoyed the benefits of having intimacy with this woman, if he can't handle the responsibility of sharing intimacy with that woman, the consequences that come out of sharing intimacy with a woman, that means he does not have respect. He doesn't deserve the benefits if he can't deal with the consequences that he may not agree with. I mean, those are two things that go together. If you're going to sit up here and enjoy sharing intimacy with a woman, being that close to her, you also need to enjoy the fact that there might be a seed that comes out of that. You understand what I'm saying? And if men can't do that, these are the men that you need to make sure they understand how socially awkward and ostracized that they are. This will eliminate a lot of men walking away from the responsibility of being a father. If women just came together and decided, no, that's not the type of guy I'm going to have sex with. I don't care if he's attractive. I don't care if he has a big, tool to work with. I don't care if he's financially stable. I don't care if he's employed. The things that we require from men, the standards that women have, are what make men behave the way that they do. Most women, we all have like similar complaints as far as men go. You've seen women sit here and talk about men. Have you looked at a Facebook group or went to like some type of panel where women were talking about relationships in a live stream? Men tend to all kind of behave in a similar manner, and I believe that that's the fault of women because of what we require, what our standards are. And it's a lot of women who have low standards, and I'm not sure what that shit is about, but I'm here to tell you to get a grip, sis. You gotta get a grip, sis, because if you out here only looking out for yourself, you have to understand when that boomerang come back and hit you back in the face, you had a baby by this dude and was just wishing and praying that he take care of your kids, even though he ain't take care of his others, you will end up being just like those women. And I'm not talking to women who were lied to, or who were dealing with men who tried to make their baby mama out to be the devil incarnate, when really all they baby mama wanted was for them to take care of their kids, and they never really, tried to put forth any effort. I'm not talking about those type of women. I'm not talking about women that had no idea. I'm talking about the women that know very damn well that these men are deadbeat, but you're still dating them. You're still having them take you out places. You're still having, sharing intimacy with them. Why are you even having a conversation with dude? To me, that still says a lot about your self-esteem as a woman. You gotta be more interested in high-valued men, okay? High-valued men do not walk around here not taking care of their children. High-valued men take care of their children and make sure that their children have everything that they need, whether they marry the mothers or not. Do you understand that? High-valued men want to be fathers, and if they don't want to be fathers, they have enough sense to either get a vasectomy or put on some protection. No high-valued man is going to be walking around here with this collection of baby mamas, okay? Don't be so anxious to join the club. No high-valued man is going to do any of that. So if you want you a good man, you complaining about how you can't never find one, why are your standard low? Why are you dealing with a dusty? Only a dusty would encourage a man to not take care of his kids, or be the type of man that isn't taking care of his kids. High value men just don't do that. So ladies, next time you going through the dating process with a guy, you find out this man has children, you need to ask him what's really going on with the mothers of his children, with his children. Usually when you dealing with a good dude, him and his baby mama genuinely have like a cool situation anyway. Most good guys, him and their baby mama, if he picked a decent mother of his children, because he might have made a mistake too and picked a bird brain, but most grown women, like most high value women, attract high value men, and most high value men attract high value women. And even if their relationship didn't work out for various reasons, it doesn't mean that either one of them is any less valuable. It just means that they weren't suitable for each other. They may have been married at one point, they may have kids together, but usually if you dealing with two high value people, they are cordial with each other anyway. They really got a decent co-parenting relationship. High value people take pride in good co-parenting relationships. Me and my daughter's father have an amazing co-parenting relationship, and you guys have heard me talk about that before. If you haven't, I got plenty of videos where I discuss, my relationship with my daughter's father. Now, me and my son's father, we don't have a relationship at all. Like, he's never met our son. And I think I kind of like it that way, because I don't think he is competent enough to take care of a child. I don't think he has enough sympathy and compassion to be able to take care of a child. I wouldn't even be able to, trust him with a child. And the only reason why I figured that out was how he treated me during my pregnancy. And you can learn a lot about a man by how he treats you during your pregnancy. I'm telling you, like, in my single moms group on Facebook, it's pregnant women in there, and the stories that I hear, the stuff that they say about how careless and rude and cruel these men are while these women are in such a fragile state, says a lot about what kind of father that they're going to be. So when I saw that my son's father was treating me so bad during pregnancy, I already knew he would be a terrible father. And it's one thing for you to be dating a guy and be how I was, where we would sit down and we would talk about having kids together all the time. And he was talking about how he wanted to be a father and how he would be a great husband. And we were having all of these positive conversations about building a family together. And then when the time came for us to build it, how nasty and cruel he became. When you see a man switch when things get real like that, oh my God. It's like Jekyll and Hyde. You're like, oh my God, this is the person that I'm pregnant by. The only thing you can do after that is prepare yourself to be able to take care of a child alone. And here's my thing: taking care of a child alone is difficult. It can be hard sometimes. You're not struggling all the time. A lot of people want you to believe that, being a single mom is like this terrible struggle, but it's a lot of women choosing to be single moms. But my thing is, prepare yourself to be a single mother. Even if you are in a marriage, even if you are in a relationship, prepare yourself from the beginning. Okay? Always factor in whether you're ready to be a mother by yourself first. Because if you are not ready to carry a child alone, you don't need to have a child at all, because anything could happen to that man. That man could pass away. He may not just voluntarily walk away because he want to be with another woman, or he just up and decides he wants to be a dusty and not take care of his children. Something could happen to him. So you have to be prepared before all that. Now, I'm not trying to relinquish men of their responsibility, and I'm not sitting here trying to not hold men accountable, when I tell you to be prepared. But I do need you to understand, regardless to whether these men are good fathers or not, your children will always rely on you. They will always rely on their mother more than they rely on their father, 9 times out of 10. So it's not that, I'm trying to prepare you to be a single mom, or I'm telling you to prepare yourself. Just understand that your children will rely on you more than they will rely on their fathers. So anyway, I hope this was informative for you. I hope this made you think. Make sure you put whatever you want inside of the comment section below. Follow me on Instagram at therealsoncerae@gmail.com. If you have any questions about motherhood, single motherhood, parenting, finances, business, whatever it is, you can email me, okay, at soncerae@gmail.com. If you are a single mom and you have questions about my single mom group, email us at wegiveyoulife@gmail.com, okay? Have vision and stay focused. Namaste.